For this tutorial, you will see how to recreate this file cabinet in front of you into a 3D model. We're going to, of course, start our drawing in a 2D drawing and then turn it into a 3D model. You'll see how to create objects and geometry and turn them into components, and how to copy and also paste those components. Other commands that would be used would be your push pull tool, your line tool, your rectangle tool, and then we will also see how to add color or texture to our image. So for instance, I'm going to go ahead and scroll out, but I'm going to go over to where we have our scenes because I am using the free web version. This is where you will create the top view, which is your plan view of your modeling window. If you are using the Google SketchUp Pro, you would just go to your windows and change your view to top. From here, I'm going to go ahead and just scroll out and scroll into a new space. So for that file cabinet, I'm going to elect to draw it right next to it. You want to be careful not to use your mouse when you are in your plan view using that wheel of your mouse and accidentally orbit or obstruct your drawing and take it out of that top view. From here, I'm going to go ahead and use my rectangle tool and just simply draw a rectangle shape of the top plan view of my possible file cabinet that I'm going to be creating. And entering my length and my width, I'm going to say about 1 foot 3 inches by 2 feet 3 inches. And there we have a plan view of a cabinet that we're going to create. From here, I'm going to just use my orbit tool to go ahead and orbit this around so that I get a nice view and I can begin to push pull and turn my 2D drawing into a 3D image. Using that push pull tool, I'm going to hover over the face that is created and left click to pull up. We're going to give this file cabinets are usually 26, 27 inches in height. So I'm going to type, let's say 27 and press enter. Remember, you can put in the inch sign, but Google SketchUp default, even if you do not have an inch sign, will be in inches. So now we have our 27-inch height added to our shape. And now we have our 3D modeling happening. At this point, we're going to simply use the face of the image in front of us. We have our top view and there. We can now use this time to create our drawers and draw them right onto the face, because we know that in Google SketchUp, we can draw on top of faces. I'm going to use my offset tool so that I can offset around the perimeter. And then also we're going to use our tape measure because we also need to give a guideline to where another point will be in this drawing. So starting with that guideline, I'm going to go ahead to the bottom and give the bottom of my file cabinet to the beginning of my first drawer. I'm going to give myself a 4-inch space. So I'm going to select the end point and I can just type in 4. And now I have some type of guideline created. I can elect to just leave my point in here, or I can actually now draw in my line that gives me my 4 inches. Then I am going to choose to use my offset tool to go ahead and offset the perimeter of my new shape and face that I have created with that 4-inch line in there. Grabbing an edge, I'm going to just scroll in and I'm going to give the spacing for my tops and sides at least 1 inch. And go ahead and drop that. Use my orbit tool to move around. So now we have something that looks like this on our screen. If I take my pencil tool, if I just want both of my drawers to be in equal height, I can now just find the center point or that midpoint and draw in my line from one vertical line to the next. And now I have my two individual faces for my top drawer and my bottom drawer. So now we have our file cabinet created in a 3D image. At this point, I can go ahead and create some handles to give my drawing some details. And given details, using the push-pull tool, I'm going to give some depth to my drawer and just pull it out. You can give a measurement because we know that on a file cabinet, our drawers sometimes may have a raised look to them. Using that orbit tool, you can kind of orbit around your drawing to see how we now have given some depth to our image. Because remember, with the 3D image, we need to make sure that we have depth going and create it. When you are ready to create handles, it is okay to draw them again right on your object. If you have a certain measurement or style that you want to use, then you can create that off to the side. What I'm going to do for this tutorial is simply begin with drawing a rectangle, and I'm just picking a point. And once I have that rectangle created, I'm going to use the push-pull tool to again bring this out a certain distance. Again, if you know the distance, you can elect to put that in, but for purpose of this video moving swiftly, I'm just going to demonstrate how to use that push-pull tool again. Using my offset, I'm going to create a small mimic of that rectangle, and I'm going to create my lines with my pencil tool to separate the handle inside. So now it looks like my handle has that more of a grab bar. And to get inside, to delete the inside portion, I'm going to use that orbit tool to now see down in the shape and select the bottom half to delete it. From here, stand in my select tool, I'm going to pick and hold down the shift key to select multiple edges to create a component for my handle. So once everything is selected, I can give myself a right click and go to where it says make component. And making this component, I can give it a title. I'm going to call it my file handle. And if I want to give a detailed description, I can do so. I'm not going to glue it anywhere because I'm going to pick to where I want it to be glued from, selecting OK. So now this component is created. If I click off into space here, I can do a right click and now I can select paste. And what it's going to do is going to paste that component I just created. And that is the handle. Once you have it on your screen, you can then move it into place where you need it. We're just going to drop it right on the face here. In scrolling out and using that orbit tool, I now have my handles in place. Now you may have seen in this original file cabinet here, I have the bottom drawer pulled out to kind of show drawers open and close. And you can do the same with this drawing as well. I can choose to move my handle out of the way for now. And then use my push-pull tool again to open a file cabinet here. use my select tool to just delete that inside face to show that, okay, maybe this file cabinet is open, nothing is in the drawer, and then go ahead and grab that component and put it back into place. I'm going to zoom in so I can make sure that I'm grabbing that endpoint and dropping it right on the face of that drawer. You know you're on the face of something when you're putting another object on top of a face because it will say on face. Now at this time, when you have your 3D image created, of course we can always go and begin to add any textures or colors and materials to anything that we have in front of us. So if I wanted to color in this file cabinet, I'm going to make it fun. We can do something like this. If there is a particular material that you want to use, of course, you can go to your materials and add them as well. But here we have our file cabinet created. When you are using that push-pull tool, as you can see here, you want to make sure that when you're adding colors, you are dropping colors all around in all of the small areas so that it stays cohesive at any angle or view that you show when you are using the different, showing the different sides of a model. And here is our finished products.